post of the chair of Geyl, the Dutch chair. There is also a Belgian chair held by Emile Cammaerts in the London School of Economics, or the school it was also called. And this is exactly the topic where Ulrich Tiedau will talk about next. He's a lecturer at University College London for the Department of Dutch Studies, and I'm very happy to be here. He organized also the conference together with us, so I'm happy to do this.
Open my slides, and I'm talking a bit about Geyl, but I'm actually also going to talk about somebody he called his opponents during the Standard period, which is Emile Cammaerts, as Dennis just introduced him. Right, and you see the two here on that slide around the crest of the University of London. So the story, of course, starts in World War I, which proved to be an important catalyst for the institutionalization of Dutch studies outside of Low Countries. This goes for Germany, where the first lectureships and chairs for Netherlandic studies were created to accommodate intellectual Flemish collaborators, or intellectual Flemish activists who had collaborated with the Germans during the occupation, but also for the UK, where in 1919, almost not exactly 100 years ago, with support by the Royal Netherlands government and Dutch and South African companies, Pieter Geyl became the first chair of Dutch studies at the University of London, quickly gaining a reputation and influence in scholarly and political circles. While being widely recognized as a brilliant and original scholar, Geyl's political views were actually quite close to some of those of his Flemish counterparts in Germany, and his Greater Netherlands ideology, as we've just heard from Pieter Geyl, that sought to unite all speakers of Dutch culturally or even politically, and his personal relations with Flemish activists let him become suspicious enough to the Belgian government to support the foundation of a counter-chair to contain his dangerous influence on British academia, politics, and the public. After a decade of toing and froing, an intense Dutch-Belgian altercation in the British press, as well as in the University Senate, in 1931, finally, Emile Cammaerts, on the left, geographer and long-time Belgian resident in London, whose wartime patriotic poems had been set to music by Elgar, was appointed as first chair for Belgian studies at the University of London, leading to what I like to call an academic proxy war between Dutch and interest groups that only ended with Geyl's move to Utrecht in 1935. What I'm going to discuss is that thus not just a conflict between two scholars, which in itself will probably be less noteworthy because scholars tend to have conflicts with each other all the time, but a wider dispute with three dimensions: a political, a scholarly, and a public one, take place at the University of London. On a political level, both chairs were semi-official spokespersons for and had the backing of the governments of the respective countries of origin. At a time when, in the aftermath of World War I, new border and security arrangements in Europe were decided. On a scholarly level, the two protagonists represented two opposing conceptualizations of Low Countries history: the Greater Netherlands, or each one in the case of Geyl, and the Pyrenean or Belgicist one in the case of Cammaerts, named of course after Henri Pirenne, who had written the Histoire de Belgique and traced the development of the Belgian nationality to shared socio-economic rather than linguistic or ethnic factors. On a public level, the issue at stake was British government and public opinion towards the Low Countries, if I may use this umbrella term, not more and not less. And this was of interest because the question of who controlled the estuaries opposite of the English Channel, and in particular the port of Antwerp, was of vital strategic interest for Britain and to no little extent behind her entry into the war. While the issues and contentions are no longer of any real or only of historical importance, and this story with some justification may be considered a piece of microhistory of only local interest to the history of the University of London, although in Carl Ginzburg's sense of approaching big questions through close investigation of well-defined smaller units, they were also formative for the academic discipline of Low Countries history and Netherlandic studies in the UK, and by extension in the Anglophone world at large. At the same time, this story is also an exemplary case study about the problematic relationship of scholarship and political activism, the interrelationship of vested interests in academia, and in times of government-imposed impact agendas, the encouragement of academics by research councils to directly or indirectly inform public policy and opinion, at least in the UK, almost a moral tale about this can all play out. It certainly also is a story that helps explain persistent British attitudes towards Belgium and the Netherlands, to neighbouring countries that often consider themselves to be direct neighbours of the UK, whereas from a British perspective they lie in a strange corner of the route to Britain's direct neighbour France, and do not really figure prominently in the UK's public collective mental map. Right. The two dramatis persona, you've already seen them on the title slide, they're depicted here again. Pieter Geyl on the right and the slightly older Emile Cammaerts on the left. Both of them, at the outbreak of World War I, already lived in London and were to varying degrees established in British society. Geyl, as you all know, was born in 1887 in Utrecht, had completed his historical studies in Leiden, worked for a brief period as a secondary school teacher in Schiedam, before in 1913 he was offered a post to become London correspondent of the New Rotterdamse Courant, like basically one of the predecessor newspapers of today's NRC Handelsblad, without ever having been in London before. And he writes in his autobiography about the liberation this kind of provided him with. In the British capital, Geyl quickly made connections with high society through membership in the National Liberal Club and other Fleet Street organizations, and interviewed leading figures of the British political life for the NRC. One of the of his most noted influential articles during the war, and I've got that from Piet van Hees' writings on Geyl, obviously, was an interview with Winston Churchill in 1915, in which the then First Lord of the Admiralty declared that after the war, England would not support Belgian claims on Dutch territory, an issue that, as we will see, would become of vital importance for the conflict reconstructed and reported here. But Geyl would not have been Geyl, the independent-minded, competitive and combative individual, as which he is known, if in this position he had not clashed repeatedly with his editor-in-chief, who from the South African War at the turn of the century had retained some of the British reserves, as well as with the British Foreign Office, who, according to Geyl's recollections, summoned and chastised the journalist because of his writings critical of Lord Northcliffe's propaganda, and threatened to withdraw journalistic privileges, an attempted censure that Geyl indignantly and successfully rebuffed. A few of his journalistic writings here. Indicative of his interest in nationalist and irredentist movements was his interest in the Irish question, for which he displayed a passionate interest and constantly alone. The Irish question informed his understanding of the Flemish question, vice versa, as he writes in his memoirs, but it was the Flemish struggle for emancipation in Belgium that was closest to the heart and became the dominant theme of his life. A distant cousin of his was priest Jan Dirk de Mella Nieuwenhuis-Niergaard, who in 1911 had introduced him to the Flemish movement on a student convention in Ghent, and who during the war, as leader of the radical young Flemish movement, Young Vlaanderen, was behind the Flemish Declaration of Independence in 1917, for which he had been sentenced to death in absentia after World War I, a ruling Domela managed to escape and flee to the Netherlands. At any rate, the 1911 convention was a formative experience for Geyl, from which also his friendships with many Flemish activists originated, as well as the friendship with his fellow Groot-Nederlander, by now Secretary of the Koninklijke Oliemaatschappij, the Dutch half of Royal Dutch Shell, behind the London Eye on the South Bank, also here in London. So London is a place, or the place, in the history of the Groot-Nederlandse production. While, unlike Gerritsen, Geyl had refrained from supporting the Flemish activists during the war, in his inaugural lecture in 1919 at UCL, he still referred to them as hotheads. In the interwar period, the Belgian government's intransigence towards legitimate Flemish claims made him side with increasingly radical Flemish demands, going so far that during election tour in 1929 he was deported from Belgium as a persona non grata, an experience he shared with the American historian Shepherd Clow from Columbia University in New York. Right, on to Cammaerts, his opponent. Emile Cammaerts, 9 years senior, had come to live in London a few years earlier, in 1908. According to the vignette in Ray Jenkins' biography of Emile's son Francis, who during World War II would become like the leader of the Marquis of the French resistance, special operations executive in southern France, a fascinating story in its own right, which is what Jenkins' book is about. Emile Cammaerts, so Cammaerts the Elder, was born to affluent middle-class parents in Brussels in 1878 and grew up in the intellectual melting pot of turn of the century's Brussels. When his parents separated, he remained with his mother, a demanding early feminist who had renounced the Catholic faith and replaced it with, I quote Jenkins, wide classical reading, a love of nature, curiosity, music, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, values she managed to pass on to her son. At the age of 16, he refused to follow his father and brothers in studying law and instead settled on geography as a subject, a fateful decision because it brought the young Cammaerts under the influence of Jacques-Élisée Reclus, a prominent French revolutionary, anarchist, and life reformer, vegetarian and anti-marriage, who since 1892 occupied the chair of comparative geography at the University of Brussels. The appointment of this veteran fighter of the Paris Commune and a friend of Bakunin's, with relations to Auguste Vaillant, the bomber of the French National Assembly in 1892, had led to a split of the free-thinking university and the breakaway of the Université Nouvelle, a new university, a radical anti-clerical secession in 2 years later, and Cammaerts followed his teacher and mentor to the new institution before it was shut down by the Belgian authorities 2 years later. At any rate, the young and impressionable Cammaerts, barely 18 by now, seems to have been rather on the fringes of Reclus' anarchist circle. In the assessment of Cammaerts' friend Charles van den Boven, the later president of the Belgian Academy, Emile was not an anarchist with his reason, but with his emotions. He was in love with anarchy. Like Geyl, he started earning his living as a teacher in the town of Mans in Endowed, but he kept his literary aspirations. So he translated Chesterton and Ruskins into French, as well as, together with Charles van den Boven, poems by Guido Caselle. He authored some volumes of art criticism, wrote several plays, and was one of the driving forces behind the foundation of the Belgian branch of the International Pen Club. After his marriage, or his first marriage, ended in divorce, he met the Shakespearean actress Helen Brown, here on the left, better known under her stage name Tita Durant, on a visit to Stratford-upon-Avon. Violently in love with her, he moved to England at the age of 30 in 1908, and I quote Cammaerts himself, after wandering through various philosophies from a rank atheism to a vague mysticism, after spending many years tasting various brands of socialism, after trying to reconcile an all-absorbing love of nature and art with a far less absorbing love of man, under the influence of his wife, who was a Christian socialist, readily abandoned his previous convictions for increasingly pious Anglo-Catholicism. Right, now how did the two come together? Of immense importance throughout World War I, but particularly in its opening phase, proved to be the figure of King Albert of Belgium, both on a military and on a propaganda level. Not only had the Belgian king refused to give in to the German ultimatum, but by putting up a principled, if ultimately futile resistance against the overwhelming enemy forces, delayed the German advances just long enough for the Schlieffen Plan to get derailed. So in this respect, you can say that the Belgian military engagement in World War I had been decisive and altered the further course of the war. Moreover, unlike the government that sought shelter in France, establishing itself in Le Havre, the king never left Belgian territory but stayed in the last unconquered corner of the country in the seaside resort of the Pan, right next to where the French border meets the English Channel. The fact that the monarch never left the country also had a morale-boosting effect of utmost importance for the population under occupation, and would later move Cammaerts to write the king's biography, widely acclaimed biography in 1935, as well as one war further down the line, a vigorous defense of Albert's son and successor Leopold in 1941, whom similar behavior, staying in the country during World War II, did not serve very well. But first, under the impression of the devastating news from his country of origin, he set to write patriotic war poems that were published by The Observer, one of which, with the title Chanton Belle Chanton, from October 1914, was set to music by Edward Elgar, the British Empire's composer laureate. It would become one of the most popular songs of the war and the basis for Cammaerts' subsequent fame. Cammaerts' collaboration with Elgar came about on the occasion of the King Albert's book, which is quite a famous homage of the British people to Belgian sacrifice in World War I, which was an initiative, I don't have to go into every detail, an initiative by the monks novelist Hall Caine, who managed to assemble 250 contributions, high-profile contributions, basically in this anthology, ranging from figures as diverse as the writers Thomas Hardy, Rudyard Kipling, Edith Wharton, Chesterton, Maurice Maeterlinck, the composers Debussy, Saint-Saëns, and Edward Elgar, artists Claude Monet, Sarah Bernhardt, Henri Bergson, and so on, but also political figures as diverse as Asquith, Churchill, the suffragette Emmeline Pankhurst, the Aga Khan, and the Archbishop of Canterbury. We can put up the poem here, which became the concert hall hit of the year, figuring prominently in BBC proms and elsewhere. Cammaerts, the Belgian equivalent of Rupert Brooke, as his grandson calls him, went on to compose many more war poems, two of whom Elgar set to music in similar ways, the latter on the occasion of King Albert's birthday in 1917. They are what he is remembered best for, though perhaps they are dated now, as the Manchester Guardian wrote in an obituary of Cammaerts in 1959, instinct with deep religious feeling, which was inspired by Belgium's sufferings of World War I. Chantant Belge Chantant, whose official title was Après Anvers, had been written after the fall of Antwerp, the last stronghold of the Belgian army in October 14, which led to the exodus of hundreds of thousands of Belgian refugees to the Netherlands, France, and this country. Tens of thousands were soon living in makeshift refugee camps, like the one depicted on this slide in Alexandra Palace and the Earl's Court Exhibition Centre. Of interest for the development of low country studies in the UK, Jules Deschamps and Christophe Renier came as part of this refugee wave to Britain. Deschamps took on a lectureship at East London College, today's Queen Mary University of London, where he taught French and would later become professor, and as the rector of the Belgian Institute on Belgrave Square, a close colleague, collaborator, and friend of Cammaerts. Christophe Renier, the completion of whose doctoral thesis under the supervision of Henri Tiedau in Ghent had been interrupted by the outbreak of the war, he would finish with Geyl in London, becoming his assistant and eventually in 1936 his successor on the chair for Dutch history. I skip a few slides where I show very famous propaganda works that Cammaerts published together with, for example, Louis Ramakas, the famous cartoonist from this time, who was made to leave the Netherlands by the Dutch government, who was area of German pressure onto the Dutch government. One here. Also, as part of the refugee stream came some government officials, among them Henri d'Avignon. I think I had a brief portrait of his on this slide in the lower left corner. A novelist and playwright from a prominent family of Belgian politicians and diplomats. D'Avignon and Cammaerts, as Jean Lindley, Cammaerts' daughter, reports, so different in background and upbringing, were both writers and needed little but the common impotent agony at the party's suffering to draw them close as friends. Henri d'Avignon set up office at 28 Grosvenor Gardens, where a number of Belgian exile organizations were located, and his Bureau de Propagande et de Documentation became the semi-official London branch of the Le Havre-based Office de la Propagande Belge. Of course, it's important to keep in mind that propaganda was not as negatively, the term propaganda was not as negatively connotated as it is today. So aided by Britain's War Propaganda Bureau in Wellington House, it produced, published, translated and distributed propaganda works and worked on publicity for the Belgian cause. Out of D'Avignon's, and one of the, I'll come to this slide in a moment, sorry, I'm jumping a bit ahead. Out of D'Avignon's wartime office grew the more permanent Anglo-Belgian Union of 1918, a bilateral association with offices in Mayfair's Albemarle Street, a famous address with connections to Lord Byron and Oscar Wilde, that in the form of the Anglo-Belgian Society is still in existence to the present day. The Union was born out of the Brotherhood in Arms of World War I, as its bilingual constitution from April 1918 points out right at the beginning. The object of the Union, so I quote this constitution, the object of the Union is to maintain and develop feelings of friendship between the British and the Belgian peoples, to promote more intimate relations between the two nations, and to commemorate the brotherhood in arms, which arose from the mutual loyalty to the Treaty of 1839. The reference to the outcome of the London Conference of 1839 is of course no coincidence. Because a revision of these treaties was one of the major Belgian war aims, particularly the claims on the Zeeuws-Vlaanderen and the southern bank of the River Scheldt, as you know. The patrons of the Anglo-Belgian Union were nobody less than the two monarchs, King George and King Albert. In practical terms, Cammaerts and Ulrich Tiedau, a prominent yachtsman and philanthropist of independent means. In 1900, Paris Summer Olympics in 1900 had won 2 gold medals for the UK, were acting as general secretaries. The Union's most prominent enterprise in the interwar period, you just seen that on that slide that I skipped, was a high-profile exhibition of Flemish and Belgian art from the 14th to the 19th century in the Royal Academy, with both couples being present. They also kept track of the British press, as evidenced by a huge thematically sorted collection of paper clippings, and organized Anglo-Belgian friendship events as well as Belgian cultural propaganda in the UK, not a small part of which was able to counter and contain Geyl's Greater Netherlands propaganda. How am I doing on time? Stan? 5 minutes, good. The first Dutch language courses at the University of London, of course, had also started under the impression of the influx of Belgian refugees. At Bedford College, another former constituting college of the Federal University of London, located in leafy Regent's Park, the first courses in Dutch started to be offered by Dame Margaret Tuke during the 1914-15 academic session, and the first degree program in Dutch was instituted by Bernardus Proper, founding head of the Department of Dutch, also at Bedford College in 1915. Plans to develop a full chair or professorship in Dutch studies were greatly facilitated by the fact, as Pieter Geyl has just told us, that within the Dutch business community in London, within the Dutch business community in general, concerns had arisen about the reputation of the Netherlands, who had a bad reputation in this country, given that the Netherlands provided asylum to the Kaiser, who was sought as a war criminal, and so on. So that's why a fund was raised to basically found the chair that then occupied as the first incumbent. So in a way you could say that the establishment of the Dutch chair is a result of these two initiatives coming together. There was the academic initiative starting off as a result of the refugee wave of World War I, and then the kind of public diplomacy initiative on behalf of Dutch government and business circles. In his autobiography, written in German hostage captivity during World War I and published by the editors are all here, which I'm very pleased about, Geyl describes the atmosphere in which his appointment took place as follows. After the war, the climate was very much in favor of international cultural exchange between the peoples of Europe, and the University of London back then tried to become a large international center in this respect. University chair after university chair was founded for the language, literature, and history of one country after another. We, that is the Netherlands, did not want to miss out and formed a committee to raise funds. At that time, money was easily available, and we managed to raise substantial funds for the chair. Geyl's appointment was not the least a political one, as his journalistic writings promised him well positioned to assert the Netherlands' place in the post-war order. He writes himself that his article, Nederland tussen de mogelijkheden, the Netherlands between the big powers, tipped the balance in his favor. But he was also heavily involved in the initiative, let's say, and knew how to push it in the right direction. In his inaugural lecture at University College London on the 16th of October 1919, in presence of the Dutch ambassador, Geyl outlined his intention to fill the position and declared his intention not to confine the chair to either history or literature, but, I quote Geyl, the whole field of Dutch civilization comes under its purview, not without hastening to add that this by no means meant restricting himself geographically to the Netherlands. I quote Geyl again, "But when I say Holland, I'm understating the case. The Dutch language is a key which opens more doors than that to the civilization of my own native country. Dutch is spoken in 2 other countries. There is Belgium in the first place. It is a fact the war has made widely known in England that the language of the majority of the Belgian people is not French but Flemish. But I think that that even now the exact relationship between Flemish and Dutch is little understood. And then there is South Africa. In both countries, he saw the Dutch language engaged in a life and death struggle with more powerful languages, English in South Africa and French in Belgium. He was also affiliated with a public diplomacy or propaganda institution of his own, Stichting voor Lichting omtrent Nederland, like foundation enlightenment about the Netherlands, an initiative by the liberal politician Frederico Strion, which basically appointed him as a secret press attaché, as it were. So he basically was on the payroll of this semi-official, partly private, partly ministry-funded institution, and wrote long reports about his encounters in this country, academically, publicly, politically, to The Hague. He got, I found a number that he got something, I still have to do the math, he got some 300 guilders a month, which is, like, I believe, a substantial salary compared to the 700 or 800 pounds sterling that he received in his professorial role. I still have to do the math. And today you would get into an ethical, you would have an ethical problem, let's say. So he never informed his main employer, University College, about his side income, a fact that he acknowledged retrospectively, repeatedly in his autobiographical writings, and seemingly stayed proud of. Right, it also has led, like, especially later generations of Belgian historians to question whether his scholarship was just like a cover for his activist activities. You know all about that in the 1980s, Louis Voss and Lodewels in particular have made this claim, leading to what some of the participants are here, so I'll let you speak to that later on. So I certainly would not go this far, as Geyl's contributions to historical scholarship are hardly contestable. I can quote, for example, Garson's assessment that Geyl's greatness as a historian is assured. Recent literature testifies to the continuing impact of his reinterpretation of the revolt of the Netherlands on later research. At the same time, some major reservations have emerged. It's still difficult to not see this, let's say, unethical episode without projecting back to today's standard as something like a stain on this reputation. Right, I'm speeding up because I'm running out of time. So from its beginning in 1918, predating the end of the war and Geyl's appointment to the chair of Dutch Studies, the Anglo-Belgian Union was committed to raising the funds to create a Belgian chair. It is doubtful that much would have come out of this in the economically challenged interwar period had it not been for Geyl's unpleasant presence on the Dutch chair, though. As Bryce Lyon writes in his biography, some of Geyl's work was so polemical and so anti-Belgian in character that successive Belgian ambassadors to the Court of St. James, concerned with its deleterious effects on British public opinion, suggested to the foreign ministers that Pirenne should be sent to England to deliver lectures on Belgian history in order to utilize Geyl's propaganda. Given the reputation that Geyl had earned himself with his journalistic work, it should come as no surprise that the newly appointed Dutch chair's inaugural lecture was also attended by representatives of the Belgian embassy, among whom Emile Cammaerts, who, alarmed by the program set out by the journalist turned professor, journaliste bombardé professeur à l'Université de Londres, quoted from, of course, from the posthumously edited memos, reported back to Brussels. Setting out his educational program, Monsieur Geyl recalled that medieval Dutch literature was mainly composed in Belgium and concluded that this was the reason why Belgium needed to be covered in his courses. He described the progress Flemish literature had made in recent years and, in italics, so highlighted in the original, announced the imminent triumph of Flemish demands. Finally, he promised to offer a course on relations between Belgium and Holland. All this affects Belgium in an unpleasant way, especially as Dr. Geyl, as London correspondent of the NRC, has written articles unfavorable to the NRC. What added insult to injury in the eyes of Belgian observers and turned this into an incident that demanded diplomatic attention was the fact that the Dutch ambassador also addressed the audience on the occasion and did not hide his country's satisfaction at being put in the limelight of the University of London. I hope we're not repeating that today, but familiar with the British university system, but assuming his diplomatic contacts were not, Cammaerts also advised the Foreign Ministry not to try an intervention because universities are not state institutions in this country. I quote, because UCL is autonomous and the chair of Dutch studies, we would prefer to translate Netherlandic or Hollando-Belge studies, like Dutch-Belgian studies, has been created with the help of private funds, mainly from South Africa. The English government bears no responsibility and has no control of the matter. In response to Cammaerts' report to the embassy that the chargé d'affaires sent on to Brussels, for Le Monde, Ulrich Tiedau, the Belgian foreign minister, replied in December 1919, without doubt, you will be able to agree with Monsieur Cammaerts to let the rector of the University College or other personalities from the academic world know how unpleasant Dr. Geyl's statements are for our country. This démarche should take, however, an informal and discreet nature. It would be desirable to take advantage of his appointment to put forward as a personal suggestion the idea of creating a chair for the history of Belgium, a chair that would be entrusted to a Belgian professor. I would be interested to know the response of this by the rector of University College. This coming from the foreign minister, so getting attention on the highest level. The démarche was met with open arms by Sir Edwin Perry, the Vice Chancellor of the University of London, who responded in a letter from 15 March 1920. I quite sympathize with the feeling of Belgian history is being taught to the English by a Dutch professor, and I suppose that later on we shall have the question of nationality in an acute form if he should establish any chair specifically concerned with the Croatians, Serbians or Yugoslavs, because SOAS or CEs, like the other cultural exchange academic institutions around here, have all been founded around the same time. Right, I'll just summarize, because I would be running too much over time, I suppose. I'll just summarize that Geyl basically managed to ward off this attempt at establishing a Belgian chair. So you find in the university archives, basically in his handwriting, how he even tried to turn it around, suggesting that Belgian history could easily be dealt with by the Department of Dutch Studies. It could be turned into the Department of Netherlandic Studies. It's quite interesting to read, and also reminds one so much of university committee dealings today, which are not that different from this type of thing, but I'll just leave all of that out. Then the Anglo-Belgian Union created a fundraising exercise which kind of ran through the 1920s. Towards the end of the 1920s, they had managed to raise those funds, so a new attempt was made at establishing the chair, and got a positive answer on the grounds of the principal acceptance from the early 20s. And then Geyl only managed to prevent the establishment of that chair at UCL, University College, which would have been I'm not saying this because I haven't been employed there, but the most prestigious, or one of the 2 or 3 most prestigious constituent colleges of the University of London. He also managed to use his influence at King's to kind of pass on this chair, and then kind of slightly derogatively writes about the chair being established at the school, which is the London School of Economics. Back then, apparently not yet as reputable as it is nowadays. Right. I could go on to some length, which I'm not going to do, about the wars in the press that Cammaerts and Geyl had, quite often under pseudonym or even under wrong names. So Geyl very much liked to write under the pseudonym A. Fleming, or even kind of to take on the names of existing Flemish activists in this country, which again creates some moral, ethical issues. But let me come to my conclusion. When I've presented an overview of the turbulent establishment of various forms of low-country studies in London, out of the propaganda offices during and in the direct aftermath of World War I, and not in much details talked about the contributions to scholarship by the first Dutch and Belgian professors. No worries, I'm not going to do so today. I would like to avoid the impression that there were no academic achievements, because, as we just heard, there are, on the contrary, in particular Geyl, in spite of his blurring lines between political and scholarly activities, has enriched the historiography of the Dutch Republic by a completely new perspective. Still, both scholars never completely left the journalistic or propagandistic role out of which their academic careers grew, certainly not while in London. Geyl even had the audacity to write in his memoirs from 1942 that Cammaerts was, I quote, a propagandist undoubtedly in the salary of the Belgian government, whereas he did exactly the same for the Dutch government. He may have conveniently forgotten about it, or more likely, he did not see any problem with accepting a post by and taking money from the Dutch government, which, given his temper, he saw as allowing him to influence official Dutch policy, rather than him becoming the prolonged arm of his government's policies. Even if largely forgotten, this period has profoundly shaped the foundation of the academic field of Dutch studies outside the Low Countries, as well as British perception of the Low Countries. As Alistair Duke pointed out when Geyl passed away on New Year's Eve 1966, he was one of only two Dutch historians with a truly international reputation, the other one being Johan Tegenkamp. As far as the then largely monoglot Anglo-Saxon historical work was concerned, he was quite simply the historian of the Low Countries, a position that partly owed to the fortuitous circumstance that our weekly lens is by the regime had not yet been translated into English, whereas he had, of course, published in English. So what remains? Much to Cammaerts' dismay, and I forgot to kind of show you this fantastic picture of his inaugural, the one on the left, I should say. I suppose it's the Belgian ambassador speaking, but I'm not entirely certain I identified him yet. Much to Cammaerts' dismay, the Belgian chair, after his retirement in 1948, changed from a permanent one into a rotating visiting professorship, allowing Belgian scholars and scientists from all disciplinary backgrounds to spend a year at the University of London. As such, the Belgian chair, which is still in existence today, is largely invisible to the Belgian public, to the British public, and its origin is forgotten even in Belgium. When in 2006, Roland Willemijns, the then Belgian chair for that year, had to deliver the first Pieter Geyl Memorial Lecture at UCL, which Daniel, who's sitting here, organized. This was more than just an ironic twist of history, and one that shows how irrelevant the conflicts of the interwar period have become. The settling of the Belgian-Dutch conflicts about the River Scheldt, the network of canals and other waterways along the border in the late 20s, and in particular the shared experience of World War II, the development of the Benelux idea, and union by the governments of the three Low Countries, as well as the beginning Cold War, had rendered the contentious issues of the interwar period mute. I would like to end on this point. I do have some further conclusions on the further history of Dutch studies in London, but we've just had that at the end of Van Heese's lecture. So thank you very much for your attention, and my apologies for running slightly over time.